Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping in for a really intense fact-based look at what has become, in the last decade, well, I think it's fair to call it the biggest official technological headache for the world's most advanced militaries. We're talking about the reality of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP.
Yeah, and for so long this was, pushed to the fringe.
Absolutely. But our sources today, and this is a collection of distilled conversations, official reports, primarily from the U.S. Navy, they confirm this is now a hard science, high priority military challenge. We're looking at objects that move in ways that simply break the laws of physics as we understand them today.
That's the key, right? These sources aren't speculation. They're official documents, pilot testimonials. They're detailing encounters with craft that defy every known law of aerodynamics and thrust dynamics.
So what's our mission here today?
Our mission is to cut through all the noise and really unpack the key capabilities, the performance stats that are coming from these military witnesses. We want to answer the question, why, based on what they can do, are these UAPs the biggest military mystery of the 21st century? Because really, they're demonstrating total dominance over the airspace.
Okay, let's unpack that. I think we have to start with the most important foundational shift here, which is just the institutional acknowledgement. I mean, for decades, the military ignored this. They denied it entirely. Now, the surprising fact is that they're actively engaging with the public.
And it's fascinating how quickly that wall of denial just
Yeah.
crumbled. It used to be a taboo subject. A pilot would fear reporting something like this because of, career repercussions. But the volume and the sheer quality of the observation data just became overwhelming. Our sources detail this radical shift in transparency, where militaries, and especially the U.S. Navy, are not just observing these phenomena, they've actively published official video evidence. Videos showing objects moving in ways that no rival nation's technology can replicate. Not even close.
And that institutional shift, it also required a change in language. It's why we've completely moved past that loaded, culturally heavy term UFO.
Right.
The official designation now, used across military and intelligence branches, is UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena.
And that might sound like just, minor bureaucratic jargon, but it's a massive acknowledgement. Calling them phenomena rather than objects recognizes that whatever this is, it isn't necessarily a conventional physical craft that relies on our kind of engineering.
Right.
And the personnel involved, they are extremely clear about what they are witnessing. The sources cite direct admissions, with people on the front lines stating plainly, the technology we saw surpasses everything we know.
And that is such a critical statement, because it immediately removes that comfortable assumption that, oh, this is just a highly classified Chinese drone or some cutting-edge Russian prototype.
Exactly.
If the world's most advanced air forces look at this and say, we don't know what this is, and it's better than anything we can imagine, then we're dealing with something fundamentally different.
We are. And the reason for that admission, well, brings us directly to their performance specifications.
Yeah.
These UAPs don't just go fast. They operate outside the scope of human engineering entirely. When you look at the core characteristics, you find objects that are just unburdened by physics.
Okay, let's drill into those capabilities, because this is where the conversation really moves from policy into, well, impossible science. When you think about human aircraft, they rely on fundamentals. Wings for lift, thrust to overcome drag. What are we seeing with UAPs?
They just defy that. The reports consistently say these objects fly without any visible wings, no stabilizers, no airfoils, no conventional propulsion. So no jets, no rotors.
So how do they move?
They're described as pure geometric forms moving through the air, and they seem to be ignoring the concept of drag entirely. They're not flying in the way a 747 or an F-22 flies. They're simply moving.
And this leads us to the maneuvers that have, terrified pilots and just perplexed engineers. It's not the top speed alone, right? It's the combination of speed and the instantaneous change in direction. Let's focus on that signature impossible feat, the instantaneous 90-degree turn.
This is the absolute crux of the physical impossibility. Imagine a modern fighter jet, an F-18, traveling at Mach 1 the speed of sound, so about 1,200 kilometers per hour. If that jet tried to make an instantaneous 90-degree turn, the forces involved, the G-forces, they wouldn't just kill the pilot, they would rip the aircraft itself apart instantly.
Can you help the listener grasp the magnitude of those G-forces? When a highly trained pilot pulls an extreme maneuver, what's their limit?
A highly conditioned pilot in a state-of-the-art jet can maybe survive sustained forces of, say, 9 Gs, 9 times the force of gravity. And they have special G-suits and rigorous training just to handle that. A maneuver like an instantaneous 90-degree turn at supersonic speed would generate hundreds, if not thousands, of Gs. It is a mechanical impossibility. The forces required to change the inertia of a physical mass that quickly are. They're enormous.
Yet, the sources confirm these craft are doing exactly that, executing this turn without slowing down, with no visible sign of structural stress or massive thrust.
Precisely. And that leads to this highly specialized concept that was mentioned in some of the analysis we reviewed, this idea of inertial dampening.
What does that mean?
Well, since the UAP doesn't disintegrate and it doesn't leave, a trail of vaporized pilot, it suggests the object is somehow neutralizing or canceling out the inertial forces that should be acting on its mass. We don't even have a theoretical framework for how to do that today.
So if the 90-degree turn is impossible, the acceleration capability, that just moves the needle straight into science fiction. We're talking about jumps in speed, not gradual acceleration.
This is the most shocking number that we have from the reports. UAPs have been documented accelerating from a dead stop, from 0 up to 20,000 kilometers per hour in less than a single second.
Less than 1 second.
Less than 1 second.
That's instantaneous by any human metric. For context, what is 20,000 kilometers per hour?
That speed is roughly Mach 16.
Mach 16.
Yeah. And to put that into perspective, the fastest conventional military aircraft, something like the SR-71 Blackbird, it peaked at around Mach 3.2. Even our advanced hypersonic missiles barely hit Mach 5 or 6. 20,000 kilometers per hour means this thing could fly across the continental United States in under 15 minutes.
But the crucial part, the really critical insight, isn't just that they can achieve that speed, but how quickly they do it. How can the military be so confident in that measurement? 0 to 20,000 in less than a second. Now, that sounds unbelievable.
It does. But that data point comes from multiple synchronized sensor inputs. We're talking high-definition radar, infrared cameras, and even visual confirmation from pilots who were right there. When all of your advanced military systems agree on that acceleration profile, it becomes a documented fact of the encounter, even if it completely violates our physics textbooks.
And like we discussed with the G-forces, if any existing military aircraft tried to replicate that, what happens?
The outcome is guaranteed. It's immediate, catastrophic structural failure. The airframe would be torn apart by the immense stress. The heat from the instantaneous friction would basically cause it to vaporize. This capability is so far beyond our limits that it makes any attempt at pursuit. It's just futile before it even starts.
Which leads us nicely to the practical military challenge, tracking them. If they can move like that, changing direction instantly, accelerating beyond anything we have, how do our detection systems even manage to keep up?
This is where the radar operators, you can imagine they feel like they're losing their minds. The readings are not just inconsistent, they're contradictory. And it suggests these phenomena may operate in multiple ways. Our sources point out two really distinct types of radar signatures that are reported.
Okay, let's start with the first one, the fast fleeting signature.
So some UAPs appear as these tiny, extremely fast points on the radar screen. They're visible, they are confirmed, and then they suddenly just disappear entirely. They're gone. Not fading away, but just dropping off the scope. No path, no deceleration.
Which implies?
It implies either instantaneous displacement, they're just somewhere else instantly, or some kind of cloaking mechanism that completely defeats our radar technology.
And then there's the second type of signature, which suggests something more solid.
Exactly. Others are captured as a stable, measurable mass, a solid radar return moving at speeds that are still baffling. They're documented moving up to 10 times the speed of sound, so Mach 10. So you have these two things, objects that just vanish, and then solid physical objects moving at extreme hypersonic velocities. And neither can be explained as a conventional craft.
The interaction with manned military aircraft is particularly chilling because it confirms these aren't just, glitches in the radar.
The pilot reports suggest a conscious interaction. They detail instances where, as soon as a manned military jet arrives, the objects would actively start to circle the military aircraft, almost as if they were observing the limitations of our platform. And then they'd execute an instantaneous move and just accelerate away.
And the sources confirm that attempts to chase them are always failures. It always comes back to that gap in capability.
Always. If a fighter pilot initiates a turn or, hits the afterburners, the UAP has already traveled hundreds or thousands of kilometers further away before the jet is even stabilized from its maneuver. It's not a dogfight. It's like trying to engage a ghost. The behavior points toward some kind of intelligence, non-human intelligence, or at least non-human programmed AI that is fully aware of our technical ceilings.
And that transition from a physics puzzle to a strategic nightmare, that is essential. So let's shift our focus from how they fly to the alarming consistency of where they appear. because that location data elevates this from an aerospace mystery to a real matter of national security.
This is where the alarm bells ring, and they ring loudly. When you connect the extreme capabilities, the invisibility, the speed, the inertia-defying moves to the locations reported in the sources, the primary concern is the high frequency of these UAP appearances above highly sensitive military infrastructure.
Where specifically are we talking about?
They are documented, appearing consistently above strategic military bases, and perhaps most concerningly, directly above intercontinental ballistic missile silos, ICBM silos.
So, our nuclear deterrent infrastructure.
Exactly. Our nuclear deterrent.
That is profound. They aren't just randomly popping up over the Pacific. They are targeting our most sensitive, potentially world-ending strategic assets. Why does that concentration alarm governments so much?
Because the nature of the threat is totally unclear. When the military sees an unidentified craft, the first assumption is, okay, Russia or China. But then they analyze the performance data, the Mach 16 acceleration, the 90-degree turns, and they realize it's not a conventional rival weapon system. They are witnessing an advanced, non-conventional presence that's exhibiting complete command and control over our most restricted airspaces.
And if it were Russia or China, the response would be clearer. You build countermeasures. But if the source is truly unknown, that changes everything.
It changes everything. The implications are monumental. If it's unknown, it means we have zero intelligence on its intent, its command structure, its ultimate goals. Nothing. And the fact that they're seen above missile silos implies an immediate direct interest in our capacity for large-scale destruction. Are they observing our defensive capabilities or our offensive ones? The sources don't offer answers, just extremely alarming data points.
And what's fascinating about the movement itself is the suggestion that these UAPs aren't just testing our limits. They already know them.
Absolutely. The witness reports frequently suggest the objects move as if they are exploiting the exact physical limits of our aircraft, of our radar, of our pursuit capabilities. They evade us easily. It's not luck, it's systematic capability. And whether this represents a non-human biological intelligence or some highly sophisticated self-aware AI operating the craft, the effect is the same. They are demonstrating total and unchallengeable air superiority over the locations that matter most to global stability.
So bringing this all together for you, we started with this unprecedented military admission. We moved through the truly impossible physics, the acceleration that would liquefy a human body, the turns that rip planes apart, and we finished with this deeply concerning strategic implication. The fact that these objects are staking a claim over our most critical national defense infrastructure.
The definitive conclusion, and this is drawn directly from the sources, from analysis by military experts, it remains unwavering. These phenomena are categorized as unknown, which suggests the technology witnessed exceeds everything we know. This isn't a capability gap you can solve with a bigger budget or by studying a rival nation.
And that acknowledgement that the world's most powerful militaries cannot explain, track, or successfully chase these objects, that is why this is the defining military enigma of our century. It forces us to redefine what is technologically possible.
And we have to remember, these reports are based on highly trained professionals. They're using extremely sophisticated detection equipment. They are reporting physical facts about movement and speed that fundamentally challenge our understanding of motion, of energy, of mass. This isn't just a collection of anecdotes, it's a stack of irrefutable data points.
And here's a final provocative thought for you to carry forward from this deep dive. If these phenomena do represent some kind of non-human or non-conventional technology, what does their consistent and frequent appearance over our sensitive military infrastructure, particularly our missile silos, suggest about their ultimate interest? Are they merely cataloging our nuclear capabilities, or are they attempting to subtly, or maybe not so subtly, influence or monitor the world's most destructive capability?